I didn't even know anyone in food. I didn't know anyone to ask whether I was crazy or not. It was probably good because if I had done a lot of research and looked into it, I would have realized that the probability of success was probably pretty low, and I probably would have stayed doing what I was doing no matter how miserable it was. I'm Charles Coristine, and I'm the CEO and president of LesserEvil Snacks. I'm the guy who was crazy enough to leave Wall Street to run a snack company. Really where LesserEvil started to take off was we started making more mainstream products better. They weren't necessarily super healthy, but they were a lot better than what the alternatives were, and they appealed on taste. By becoming vertically integrated, we cut out all that margin that the co-packer was taking, and we were able to invest that money back into the company. The way we pop is amazing. We pop really low and slow. It's actually pretty inefficient. We want the pop to be right at the end of the tunnel. The path of least resistance is you put it into the tunnel, it's as hot as possible, and it pops right away. But then you get these kind of like squid, ugly popcorn, where we want to have these butterfly wings that are really nice and make for a lot better mouthfeel. It's got to have an amazing mouthfeel. It's got to have a certain level of saltiness. It has to have a certain level of expansion. We first hit 100 million in annual revenue in 2023, and then this year we're on pace to do about 165 million. My day was pretty crazy. I would start work at probably around 7 o'clock in the morning, and I would trade till about 5:30, and then I would go home and eat, and then I'd usually trade in Tokyo, and then sometimes in the middle of the night in London. I started suffering from anxiety. You know, sometimes I felt like I wasn't in my skin. I was anxious, and I knew at that point that I needed to take some time off. He wasn't sure exactly what to do with it, and I said, you know what, that might be interesting. And then I found the name kind of synchronistic too, like the LesserEvil. It was kind of like my lifestyle, you know, because I had started meditating and I was really into eating clean, and I had gone vegetarian, and I was really trying to, you know, dial down the stress. And I guess I felt like I was against all odds, but that was kind of the fire that I needed to really turn my life around. And he said, well, listen, this sounds pretty interesting. Would you consider working with me? And I was like, absolutely. I considered him a very close friend.
I wanted to get into something more solid than financials and numbers. I really thought something in the consumer products industry would be great. I went to business school to find something new in my career, and I ended up at a snack factory. The challenge coming into LesserEvil wasn't about changing things, it was about building from the ground up. There were no processes in place, no financial measures, no controls, no personnel. Everything had to be created from ground zero.
It just didn't have enough in sales. I mean, to cover salaries and office space and the co-packers. Co-packers take like 20%. I think the big thing was trying to change the packaging. At the end of the day, I think the consumer, if the product's selling really well, they like the packaging. This product was not selling all that well. The kettle corn had like a kind of devil's head and a heavenly image, and then the crinkle sticks had like a French fry, and I would say it was like 50s, 60s type branding. We were never going to progress. It was like we were stuck, and the products weren't all that great. You know, you just didn't have any control of actually creating new products, or in fact, just even improving them. So I was like, okay, well, Andrew, you're either going to pack our bags, or we're going to figure out a way to make our own product. It was a risky move. There was considerable money that we spent. We had to like make all our pennies count. So we started buying stuff in auction, and then we would get it and typically it'd be broken and we'd have to fix it and order parts and stuff like that. Thankfully, Andrew was an engineer and he was able to kind of engineer this stuff. Back then, the way we tested stuff was we put it on the top of a fridge, which gets really hot for 3 months or whatever, and the coconut oil didn't go bad. For some reason, when you cook with coconut oil, it gives a really kind of coconutty flavor, but when it's on popcorn, it tastes like butter. It's really weird. It's like coconut oil was made for popcorn. I think it was 2014, I put a Laughing Buddha on the bag, and it was a coconut oil popcorn. All of a sudden, there was a different tension. We are a tale of two cities. We did well on the East Coast, and kind of up and down this New York, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and then we did really well in Portland, Oregon, California, Arizona. There was a different enthusiasm around that organic popcorn, and we could feel like it was something was working.
When an opportunity came to rent 20,000 square feet of space nearby, we realized that was the expansion play we needed. We were able to add another production line and have 3 production lines, which we thought at the time was humongous.
We moved away from the Happy Buddha into the Guru. I think he's kind of a joyful guy, and he's got a smile on his face, and it brand blocks really well, and we have a lot of different colors and stuff like that. The original Gurus were all off of characters that we emulated. You know, Homer was from the Odyssey, Henry was from Henry Thoreau. You know, they were all people that kind of inspired us. But now we're like kind of coming up with random new figures that we want to assign those attributes to. This is the Charles Guru. He plays tennis, he works out, and he loves his dog Ivy. I think LesserEvil, you know, we're trying to make things better. Evil is kind of an interesting word in itself, and I'm not sure I love the word evil, but I think some foods can be considered evil, and I think we're trying to put a positive spin on food and a positive spin on life.
I see no reason we can't see LesserEvil grow at 40–50% a year for the foreseeable future. One of the biggest thrills is going to the grocery store, even better if it's with my daughter, and seeing our product on the shelf and knowing that we brought that to life and got it here.
We've got a really bright future, and I think that we could be a brand that could be around for a long time, and I think we can make amazing products and make a lot of people happy. We're going to take over the world.